All right, so you've made it to week 8. One more week and you guys are through. You guys have been an excellent group. I can't even tell you how much I've enjoyed reading all your discussions. Probably the best group of discussion boards I've ever had in a class as far as interaction goes. Just really well thought out. I'm very proud of this class. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So I just wanted to say that before we go ahead and jump into this last week. So here we go. You have a lecture this week. You have an artist of the week, no Q&A, so this is strictly enrichment. You do have your last reflection. You have your capstone project and a quiz. So remember, everything is due this week, no later than day 5. So everything is due on Friday this week, and that is because I need the weekend to grade your work, to be able to grade your capstone projects, especially since we have to submit final grades on Monday. So we don't even get 24 hours from the end of the class, which is technically Sunday at midnight. We don't even get 24 hours to submit our final grades. So I do need that time. So make sure that you are on top of your game this week, that you hopefully have already done your museum visit, and we'll get to that in just a second. So your lecture, it's a relatively short one this week. So your lecture slides are there. There's a link to the video I've recorded. This is really kind of more, a little more of a fun lecture, not one that's too deep, too serious. Some pretty interesting subject matter, some cool clips in there. So do enjoy that one. And of course, this week's Artist of the Week is strictly optional. There's no Q&A you have to answer. But I've included a really neat documentary called The Life and Times of Frida Kahlo. And so if that's something you're interested in watching, I would want you to consider how Frida Kahlo created groundbreaking art that considered the inner world of the artist as it had never done before. How does her art consider us? I'm sorry, I should reword that. That doesn't make sense. How does it really make us consider this idea of getting out into the world and exploring what makes us human? Okay, your reflect, what you're going to be doing is rewriting your What is Art paper that you wrote during week 1. So again, just use the text editor for your journal. So when you click on this, this is all I'm looking for, is for you to go ahead, create journal entry, type it all right in here. You don't have to have any attachments, so just type it right there for me. All right, let's go back here. So as if you were explaining the term to a person who has never heard it before, explain the meaning of art and its purpose according to your own personal philosophy. Consider what qualifies as art and what may not. This is an opportunity to voice your own honest opinion. So this is the same prompt that we had during week 1. So you're basically rewriting it based on what you've learned over the last few weeks, how that might have changed since the beginning of the course. Okay, we'll talk about the capstone project in just a second. I'm going to talk about the quiz really quick. So, of course, open note, open book, all that, although you're done reading the book at this point. For this quiz, though, you must complete your course evaluation prior to taking the quiz. You will be asked for proof of completion. And so you could take a screenshot of your completion page, or you could, print it as a PDF and submit as an attachment to the proper question. I basically am giving you most of the points on the quiz just for doing your course eval. So make sure that you do it though before, so that you're not, you don't open it up and then, oh gosh, now I have to do that. So course eval during the quiz, make sure that, remember, it's due by Friday at midnight. Friday at midnight. Okay, let's talk about the capstone project. So if you go ahead and click this PDF, it will open up the instructions for this assignment. So what you're going to be doing is visiting an established art gallery or museum. Hopefully you've already looked at this, so this is kind of, you've already gone over this. You do have to submit proof of attendance. This could be an image of a ticket stub or a current museum pamphlet. I know some museums, they don't really give you a ticket stub, but they give you a sticker that you wear on your shirt as you're walking around the museum. So you could include an image of that or scan it, however you might want to do it. So this is 5 pages, double-spaced, 12-point font. You must include title page with your name, title, class, date, and your paper should be formatted according to either MLA or APA standards, either one. I don't care which one you use as long as you're consistent. So 2 parts to this. The first part I'm calling document the experience. So I want you to imagine that you are an art critic for a weekly magazine with an educated but non-specialized audience. So they don't specialize in any art particularly, but they have a decent knowledge, of art terms, okay? You have been asked to write a review of an art exhibition. Your task is to inform a would-be audience about an exhibition and to provide some context for it. To achieve this, you need both to describe and critique the exhibit and its rationale. Critiques tend to write from their own background, so feel free to bring in things you have learned in class or from your own readings. Also, feel free to mention when the exhibition confirms something you've learned elsewhere and when it challenges it. So if you're going to, if you went to a whole museum, you don't necessarily have to write this on the entire museum. You can pick a small section, one, special exhibition, for example, to focus on. That's fine. So I want you to start by considering the exhibition's arrangement as representing someone's conscious creation. What are your initial impressions? Be very conscious of your reactions to the display. So how is it set up? How is the artwork arranged? How is it hung on the wall? How is it lit? What's next to what, etc. So these are questions you will want to consider. What seems to be the premise, reason for the exhibit arrangement? What aspects seem to matter most to the gallery or museum? How does one room relate to its neighbor? Or does each room tell its own story? What can you learn about the art of a specific historical period by seeing original works on display in a museum setting? What sort of works are included? What media and techniques are represented? Do you have a sense of why different media are used for different purposes? How about different media, or how different media relate to one another, etc. So, you might go into an exhibition, there might be didactic statements on the wall about the exhibition. There might be video clips about the artist. So these are all different media that help you understand the exhibition and its context. So look at all of that. Be conscious of your experience in visiting the rooms. How do you feel in the exhibition? What is the role of your surroundings in the experience? So is it very dark? Is it very quiet? Is it bright and loud? So is learning an important part of the museum experience? How did you learn? How would you evaluate the labels, the wall text, the gallery guides, or materials available elsewhere in the museum? Do these represent the best way to provide such information? What other alternatives might there be? Would you provide other kinds of materials and other formats? Does the museum or exhibition present a specific worldview? Could the content be used to promote a biblical message? Does it try to detract from a biblical message? So what might it be about? I'm not expecting you to go over every one of these questions in detail. This is only 5 pages after all. But this is just to help you out about how to guide you to write this section. So there's a lot here. You don't have to hit all of these points, but I expect you to hit most of it, these concepts. So that's the first part. So the second part, you're going to explore and analyze a work of art of your choice. So select one work that you find particularly interesting and include the following. So Panofsky's 3 levels of meaning. So your analysis should cover the primary, the conventional, and the intrinsic. So I'll let you read through those. You should be fairly familiar with those, of course. And you must include at least 2 unique sources for this research. The museum's website may have information on this piece. You may not use Wikipedia. Your research should come from responsible, respectable sources. So as a rule of thumb, museums and academic university websites are appropriate. If it is not an academic site, be sure there is an author's name present as well as citations. You need to know where they're getting their information from. So the Met Museum's website on Vincent van Gogh would absolutely be appropriate, and I've included a link for you so you can see that as an example. While Vincent van Gogh Gallery is not. Let's look at that one, for example. We know the Met Museum is a reliable source in and of itself, right? But this, okay, Vincent van Gogh Gallery. Oh, it seems really nicely laid out, and there's, okay, all these different, community art, graphic works, his sketches, his watercolors, and there's all this information. There's a biography. But what I want you to consider, okay, we've got all this writing. There's no source information. We don't know who is writing this. We don't know where their information is coming from. And so that's not necessarily okay, because what if they're writing wrong information? What if their research isn't accurate? And I've had students use, I believe even this website before, where they've stated research from it, and I'm like, you know what, actually that's not quite true. So avoid websites like this. It's best to stick, oops, I went ahead and close that. It's best to stick with, websites like this that is from the Met Museum directly. So .orgs typically are more accurate. So this is from the Helbrun Timeline of Art History that is from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. There's a whole research department, all that good stuff. This is actually all citing, different works of art here. There's an index of terms, there are thematic essays that you can read. Look at citation, further reading. So we know where their information is coming from, and we know that it's legit. Okay, so these are the best sources to use when you're doing research. So make sure you include an image of your chosen artwork. That's one thing I have to say, is that there are several of you who will write about a work of art, but you don't include the image in your paper. This is really important. We're visual learners, right? This could either be a photograph you've taken yourself or from an appropriate online source. Your image must include a proper citation with the artist's name, name of artwork, date, created, medium, and source. The source is the full web address if using an online source. Your paper should have a well-formed introduction and conclusion. Do not think of me as your reader, but someone who you are educating on this material. And of course, you may not write in first-person narrative voice. That means no me or I. This is a formal academic paper. So here are some accepted museums or galleries. If it's not on the list, ask me what several of you who are not in this area have. I included the Orange County, LA, and Inland Empire area just to give you some suggestions. If there's somewhere else you wanted to go, or you're in a different location, just let me know. And hopefully you guys have all picked somewhere, or at least I'm hoping all of you went somewhere over the weekend so that you can get going on this. Remember, there's a lot going on here for 5 pages. So again, these questions, pick what you think are the most important. I recommend you do like a little outline first. Decide, okay, I'm going to write this many pages for part 1. I'm going to write this many pages about analyzing the work, so maybe 2 full pages on analyzing the work, and maybe then those first 3 are really about documenting the experience. So you decide how you want to break it up. Plan ahead, plan your paper out, and I think you guys will be in good shape. So I'm looking forward to reading these, definitely. Okay, so that's what we've got going on. So again, what's due is your What is Art rewrite. So this, you're rewriting what you've learned over the 8 weeks and how your perspective on what is art has changed. You have your capstone project and you have your quiz. Again, all due by Friday at midnight, please. Please ask me if you have any questions. Stay in communication with me through this week. And again, you guys have been a great group. I've enjoyed it so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your summer.